Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahweh Bahasham, Barakahakwadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who ruled and teach well. In peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the Brother Ra'aya coming at you with another lesson, and I'll be reading from an article on LatinTimes.com titled, Republican Lawmakers Are Leaving Office Out of Fear of the Party's Base, report claims. I'd rather my house not get firebombed. Another report noted that 41 U.S. lawmakers announced they won't seek re-election at the end of their terms, and more are expected to follow. Over the last couple of years, I've done videos on, polls they've taken amongst U.S. citizens about how, a growing number of citizens think that only political violence is going to be the only thing that's going to steer this country in the right direction. And also, there's been an increase in threats towards those, in the government over the years as well. And hey, this is all biblical prophecy. People turning against, their government officials, because more and more people are waking up to the fact that these, congressmen, senators, politicians, hell, even your own president doesn't give a damn about you. And they all have somebody they answer to, somebody they're getting a paycheck from, steering the country in the direction that their donors want it to go in, which they see is what ruining their, way of life or American dream or what have you. And, at this past camp, we were talking about how there are 7, I believe it's 5 or 7 stages that let you know that a country and its government is about to collapse. And in a video that was going into those 7 stages, they said America was at the 4th, stage. And one of the telltale signs is when those in the middle and upper class start rebelling because they see that those in the government or the ruling powers, aren't working, for their best interest, and they're losing their way of life, which, go all over social media to see how your average, middle class or whatever American, even though all Americans are complaining, but especially these middle class Edomites, the so-called white people that have been living good over these decades, seeing that their dollars aren't stretching far anymore, and they risk and will fall out of the middle class into the lower classes, become the new niggers, and they don't like it. And best believe that when these Edomites have their back against the wall, hey, they're going to lash out. They're not going to take it, laying down. But before we get more into that article, this is 2nd Esdras chapter 15 in the Apocrypha. I'm going to start at verse 14. Woe or destruction to the world and them that dwell therein. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Civil unrest, racial unrest, you name it. And those swords in their hands are going to be, especially in America, the gun. But here's the main point I wanted to get to in verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men. And the definition for sedition is conduct or speech inciting open rebellion against a ruling authority or monarch and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. And your modern day kings and princes are those in the government, as well as the authorities like the police or the military that uphold the system. And the course of their actions shall stand in their power when push comes to shove, and especially when people's stomachs are touching their backs because of, food shortages, which are also a part of biblical prophecy. These people aren't going to give a damn about a badge, a uniform, or a suit and tie. As I said, the course of their actions shall stand in their power. They're going to get it how they live. And their main targets, especially amongst these Edomites, are going to be government officials, which, when you look at Esau's history, he has a history of deletions against those in the government. Hence why, as this one Republican lawmaker said, I'd rather my house not be firebombed. Republican lawmakers are increasingly leaving office out of fear of the party's base, according to a new report. The Atlantic described the feeling among Indiana Republicans, especially as members of the GOP bloc, a redistricting plan that would allow the party to get more seats. The lawmaker told the outlet he is leaving office, but not out of fear of retaliation from Nero 47, but political violence. I'd rather my house not get firebombed, the lawmaker said. For there shall be sedition amongst men, and one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands. The outlet noted that fears are not far-fetched, given the wave of political violence that has taken place over the past years. Indiana Republicans have faced swatting incidents for not endorsing the redistricting plan. Another has reported a bomb threat and other forms of harassment, including receiving pizza deliveries they had not ordered to show them that their address was not private. Some others have not been made public. Another report by Axios claimed that House Republicans are also considering leaving office soon as infighting and external threats mount. The outlet noted that 41 lawmakers have announced they won't seek re-election at the end of their terms, and more are expected to follow. It added that threats against lawmakers have surged lately, and that the atmosphere feels even more volatile after the deletion of activist Captain Kirk in September. It takes a toll on people, said Representative Tim Burchett, noting that threats have been a key factor for some who have made the decision not to run for office again. We don't even seem to be doing anything, he added when speaking to the outlet. The most high-profile lawmaker to announce her resignation is Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has been fiercely criticizing President Nero 47 over their clash regarding the EpiPen files. Representative Don Bacon also told Axios he also considered resigning after learning the content of the Nero 47 administration's peace plan for the Russia-Ukraine war. So, hey, you've got infighting within the party, within the Republican Party. You've got fighting between the Republicans and the Democrats. As we can see, increasing threats of violence from the average American citizen against those in the government. Civil unrest, which I'm gonna reread. What is that? This paragraph right here. Another report by Axios claimed that House Republicans are also considering leaving office soon as infighting, again within the party, and external threats outside the party amongst, the citizenry mount. And what does it say in Mark chapter 3, verses 24 to 25? And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And without fail, whenever you look at every, major empire or a powerful nation throughout history, they decayed internally first, infighting amongst the people, and then they were taken over externally. And as we can clearly see, this kingdom of the United States of America is divided on damn near every level it can be divided on. As it said, Republican housemakers fear infighting as well as external threats. And then as verse 25 says, and if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. The house or race of Esau is also divided. These average everyday Edomite Americans are becoming more hardline in their political beliefs to where, you can't even have a civil conversation out here without, it risk getting physical. And then even outside of the country, you've got these European Edomites turning against these American Edomites, the 1948ers, abusing, the American Edomites, and then, these European Edomites starting to turn against the 1948er Edomites, over in the Holy Land. They're just, again, divided at every level you can be divided on. But, what this is all leading to is blood flowing through the streets of the United States of America. This is Isaiah chapter 19, verse 2. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. And this is speaking about spiritual Egypt as pursuant to Revelation 11, verse 8. America. So I will set the Americans, especially these Edomite Americans, against the Americans, and they shall fight, not talk, everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city and kingdom against kingdom, with swords in their hands. So that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. As we can clearly see, we are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babol, Kwam Yasharallah, and until next time, Shalom.